Drink Tank.
So that's the end of our spoiler talk on that, or spoiler-free talk. And
Well, we'll just don't add that in.
spoiler talk time. You don't have to read. It's the same. Please don't. Oh, it's so loud. All right, spoiler talk time. All right, I think.
So we just got back from seeing the movie Ghostbusters: The Frozen Kingdom.
Frozen Empire.
Oh God!
We're not-
There wasn't an empire. He was at best he was a
Empire
king.
State. Frozen Empire States.
You know what? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give him that. I'll give
That's
him
what
that.
they meant. They meant Frozen New York City.
I thought it meant that he was building an empire.
No, which is also a misnomer because New York City doesn't get frozen until the final 20 minutes.
And he's a king. He'd have to be the emperor.
He would be. Yeah. They have. It's so weird. Like the movie is so weird. Like we know so little about what's going on.
Gorak or whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, or I want to call him Garrick, but that's from Deep Space Nine.
Gary.
Yeah, we know so
Gary
little
the
about
Frozen
Gary,
King.
about the Frozen King, King of the North. We know so little about him, and they do such a every part of them piecing his lore together is just terrible.
What do you mean every part? It was like a 5-second scene.
Kumal comes in with the sphere. Oh no, the beginning starts with the 1904, 1907 fire department coming out of the same firehouse responding to a paranormal thing. I'm like
Across the street.
it's like stop. And then they see
Well, I was like, okay, we want to see some of the past. I'm like, they do rewrite the past constantly in these
I
movies.
hate that. Everything's further back with bigger stakes.
Well, no, because last time it was like 1883, something.
It's like,
Krakatoa.
Gozer's coming back. Gozer's coming back. Yeah,
But
it's
in
like,
this one, so it starts in 1904, and they find a bunch of people frozen to death with an orb.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Cut to the future.
Kind of cool. And then, it was pretty cool. The guy's hand,
Yeah, they give a broken hand still on the Victrola was
Yeah,
pretty neat.
that was
That was
awesome.
amazing. That was really cool. As a matter of fact, I was like, oh man, are they going to lean further into horror in this? That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
They flirt with it a little bit.
No.
That one scene where they're losing the containment fields in the bunker and the creepy one starts to come out. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They could do something cool with that, and then nope, power's immediately back on. We never see that monster again.
Yeah. So, okay, so we are rambling at this point. So we got done watching...
It broke my brain.
We got done watching Ghostbusters, the Frozen
Empire.
Wingdom.
Frozen Wasteland.
Frozen Wingdom.
Frozen Wingdom.
Delicious. Just got to deep fry those
yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
And it was just a meandering mess, just like any conversation with us.
Yeah, kind of. All right,
It starts with this scene where people get frozen to death, and then it cuts to modern day where now Paul Rudd has been with the mom for 2 years.
3
years.
Because remember,
Right, he's 18 now.
He's 18 now.
And so I guess it took them a year to move to New York because they're
Yeah.
like, we've been here for 2 years. So anyway,
That's true.
So he's with the mom and then the kids, and they're ghost busting. And in a scene that was very reminiscent of the Saturday morning cartoon.
That one did feel very cartoon-like.
They're blasting through the graphics of the thing felt very retro Ghostbusters.
the real
The
Ghostbusters.
proton felt pretty cool. They're bringing down this Harlem sewer dragon, which I thought was a hilarious name, and they're breaking up the city while they're doing it. And then
quick complaint about them chasing the sewer dragon.
Yeah.
It's a flying monster, and they try and catch it with the wheel thing, and they're like, well, this wheelie cart doesn't work. Let's use the flying trap.
yeah, so they
And I'm
try
like,
to catch it with a
"Excuse
ground
me?
trap, and it's like
Use the flying trap right away.
at least they did something clever where they have the drones attached to the traps now, rather than just being like, I'm gonna kick it under there and then press this button.
Yeah, but it's a flying one. Like
Right.
the wheelie one should have not been
Yeah,
your
why not just
go-to.
do the flying one first?
Flying one first. It's like, dude.
It's more expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive. Yeah.
These guys are not operating on a high budget.
No, they're
and
not.
So they trap this guy, but they destroy part of the city. And then, of course, William Atherton has to come out and go, you guys destroyed part of my city, and
Mayor Peck from the first one. Remember him?
remember? You guys destroyed part of my city, and that girl's 15 years old, and she's fired. Well, she doesn't work for us. Well, child labor then. And it's like...
I mean, I guess, but haven't they been doing this for a while? This can't be the first time this has happened. Right?
Maybe the first time they actually destroyed part of the city.
You mean to tell me they've been so efficient this whole time? I don't think so.
I don't know how many ghosts they've been busting. I don't know.
Well, that was another issue too. Is they said in Afterlife that people haven't seen a ghost for 30 years, and so now suddenly ghosts are coming back.
Well, Gozer's messed around, and there was some residual stuff.
But so then after because this happens immediately next, so we're still following the narrative.
Right.
They go to put the sewer dragon in the
Containment.
trap, in the containment thing, and they say it's so full from 40 years of ghost busting, but they said in the previous one there hadn't been a ghost in 30 years. So they're contradicting themselves.
So 10 years of ghost bustings and then 2 years of current ghost bustings.
Yeah, so it's like you're talking like 12 maybe,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't even know how long the original Ghostbusters have said they were operating for.
Well,
because
it's 30 years, and it was 40 years ago the Ghostbusters came out. Then
so-
there's 10 years they were operating.
right, so yeah, so that makes sense.
Because we know they were operating in 87 or whatever.
Yeah, and then in like 92 again or whatever for whatever the sequel one came out in.
Well, the cartoon,
Yeah.
and then they were busting during that.
I don't think they trust the
They were
cartoon's
busting
not
all
canon.
over the
Yeah.
cartoon is canon. I've seen them go into the containment, bro.
See, I thought they were going to do that in this movie because they were
know.
talking about how the containment was going to breach and all that stuff. It's like, okay, well, okay.
That would have been cooler
If you're
than
gonna
what we
have
got.
if you're going to have the containment breach, which they say like 30 times, I'm like, got it. They're going to go full Saturday morning cartoon.
So then we have then we follow Paul Rudd's character who's like, I don't know if I can be stern with these kids because they're really more of my friends than my kids.
That was
and
a
the mom,
fair
the mom,
point.
but the mom never once sticks up for him or defines the relationship. She never once goes, "We're in a relationship for 2 years, so you're basically their stepdad." She never says anything like that.
She does say, I could have you at some point. You're going to have to stop being their friend. And he goes, so do you want me to yell at
But
them?
she doesn't define their relationship
Yeah,
and
you're
says
right.
what he should be.
Yeah,
So
no,
she's just kind of
she
half-assing
just-
whatever she's doing.
Well, she is drunk on her phone in one scene in the middle of the day. So I think, Mom, I think there's a ghost upstairs.
That's why she's not
so
driving the ecto cooler.
You can go deal with it. She does.
Yeah.
So Paul Rudd, which is the start of a character arc we think we're going to see develop more as him start to become more paternal, right? No, he gets one good scene where he gets to talk about it. She's not even in the room. She doesn't even hear it. So
Yep.
like his one scene of being a positive male role model goes nowhere.
Well, hold on. It does go somewhere because at the very end, she calls him dad.
Yeah.
After nothing in between those scenes.
Oh,
she
God.
goes, thanks, dad.
Yeah, she's kind of like, come on, Dad. I mean, Greg, whatever. And I went,
Gary, the Frozen King.
and I literally went, ugh.
He did. He went,
Like, come on, Dad. I went, ugh. Oh, it's so bad. So they're dealing with the possible failed containment unit. There's like some kind of around the same time they're talking about this. Dan Aykroyd, Kamal comes in with the orb sphere.
After we find out that Dan Aykroyd has been doing a podcast, basically like Pawn Stars, where people come in with objects and they go, "Are these cursed?"
Right.
And if they're not, his assistant smashes it with a hammer, which that got a chuckle out of me.
So
he's like, "We get the views from the hammer." I
Hammer
was like,
gets the views. Yeah. But,
"All right, you got me with that one." But it's the annoying character from the first one.
yeah, podcast.
His character's name is Podcast.
Yeah, I don't even know what to tell you. So the
Might
other
as well be Short Round.
So yeah, might as well have been. So except he got much taller now in this one.
Yeah, but he's 15 years old and he's spending his summer in New York City while
With a
lying to his
strange
parents.
man, yeah.
With a strange, kooky man who believes in
So
ghosts.
and making a podcast about it that his parents, I'm assuming, are aware of because the kid never stopped talking
No, he
about
only
it. in
has
the
like
first
one
one.
subscriber. They
It was
weren't-
Dan
so they
Aykroyd.
weren't.
It was Dan
They're not
Aykroyd. You're right.
subscribed.
Oh, I know what that's like.
Yeah, but your parents have been
So
dead
anyways-
for 20 years.
So he gets a sphere, he measures it, it sends a psychic shockwave out, starts freezing things, corrupts the walls of the containment thing. Like the impression is that the ghosts are trying to get out of it.
Right.
So now they've got to call Ernie Hudson in because we need your team of engineers to come take a look at the containment field because it is not looking
And
good.
it turns out for the last couple of years, he has a team of crack engineers who've been working on new Ghostbuster technology, not including the Ghostbusters,
Not
who he's also
including
funding.
the Ghostbusters, who he's funding, right? Like not telling you they're not part of
And
R&D.
they're like, our containment unit is full. He's like, well, turns out I have 4 new ones built in this secret location
and like
that
this-
I didn't tell you about.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then because Phoebe now has been benched, she's no longer able to go on like active calls. There's your fix. She works in R&D. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
She's already super smart. Put her in R&D, but nope, she's got to mope. Teenagers got to mope.
And instead, they get to the R&D.
And who's there?
Who's there? The girl from
Lucky.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Lucky is there.
Who had no part in solving anything ghost-related in the... I don't think, anyway.
No,
I was checked out by the end.
She comes out of the door at the end. She shoots Gozer. Gozer grabs the proton beam, yanks her off the porch, and then corrupts her and turns her into a demon dog. So she becomes the female demon dog at the end of the second one as well. But at that point, it's just she doesn't have to make out with Paul Rudd mercifully. So they just there's your demon dogs.
Oh,
goes
Rose was
there's
very
back.
disappointed.
I'm sure he was not. So, anyways, yeah. So she's there. She sees Finn Wolfhard's character, and they're like, "Oh, look at us, we're back
Trevor,
together."
hey, Lucky.
Yeah, hey, Trevor,
but that's you don't get any
and
moments
that
between
is
them.
it.
You don't get moments between them. They're just
You
like, hey.
get one at the end where they're on the roof, and they're like, "There's weird stuff," and they're like, "Come on down." It's like,
Right,
"You
they're
just
not
set
even
us
like
up."
they're not even like bantering with each
No,
other.
there's no
so,
no
like
dialogue
that.
between
Those
them. No
characters
scenes
are
between them.
essentially useless.
Superfluous. So when they talk about like the orb and how it's like all weird and stuff like that, they record it. Podcast finds out that they take the orb to the secret underground bunker, right? The BPRD, Bureau of Paranormal Research and Development.
Right, of course.
And so then they're like, this thing is weird. We're trying to suck the ghost out of it because they have a ghost suck-off machine.
Yeah, yes, they do.
So it sucks the ghost right out of
Well,
whatever.
you first see it activated with a Spin Doctor CD, which I thought was my other chuckle during the movie.
Yeah, it's a cursed
like,
Spin
like
Doctor CD.
It has a CD
This is
player
like a
that's
Walkman.
cursed with
Yeah.
a Spin Doctor CD.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. That's more of a Warehouse 13 joke.
Oh yeah, 100%. But it was humorous.
Yeah, so they suck the ghost out of it and they put it in a separate ghost-proof container before it gets zapped into another ghost-proof container, right?
Into the full container.
Into the full containment system.
Well, that makes sense because they do want to study them.
This is important that it leaves the ghost containment to be put in a second, also ghost lockdown container. This will be important later. So that's when they explain that they also can put ghosts in like separate areas and use photon fields so they can study them and they can learn from them.
And that's when they explain that they can suck the ghost out of a person.
She asks if you've ever experimented on people apropos of nothing. She's never asked if you could suck the ghost out of someone. Like before, she's expressed zero interest in having her ghost sucked off. Isn't this is before she even goes to the park, right?
Yeah. No, I think she's been at the park once.
Maybe she, all right.
Maybe not.
I don't know. So at some point, Phoebe goes to the park to set up a chessboard.
And to play herself at chess.
She's playing herself at chess, but the chess pieces start moving like they did in the first one. Only we know it's not Egon because he's moved on.
I thought it might have been Egon.
Dude, if they brought him back, I was going to
I was actually, I was ready to
be
rage.
like, no, sir. So instead, it's
Melody,
this girl who died in a fire, and she does.
Died in a fire.
She does. She has like little flames and stuff like that on her.
That was pretty cool.
And she has been like wandering Central Park for a while, and she knows how to play chess really well. Which I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So this starts the journey of like the bizarre friendship / romance between Phoebe and Melody.
We don't know if it's a romance because it might release in China.
Yeah, it's weird though because it's like
it felt very sapphic.
It did feel
but
sapphic.
They never explicitly say anything.
No,
and I think it's specifically for
China.
Chinese audience.
Yeah. Which instead of going for that route, it just feels like another teenager going like, nobody understands me. Everybody understands you. Everybody's been super helpful to you. You're just being a moody teen. And
But the one thing I will give it is she's not being super moody, but she is being uncharacteristically stupid.
Correct. She is being very dumb, which is important later. So we're building up our tower of dumb. And so, all right, so whether she meets her before or after, it doesn't matter because now she's like, my only friend is a ghost. And everything starts going bad. The sphere, they find out that it's communicating with other ghosts, controlling other ghosts, which we already knew because the sphere talks to Melody and convinces her that like she needs to do something to betray Phoebe. They're vague on what it is, but you know, those of you who've been watching, you probably puzzle the pieces out real quick. And so they're recording the sphere interacting with more Stay Puft Marshmallow Minis. And then the video is like, that's a weird language. And then like Dan Aykroyd's like, this has got to be like pre-Sumerian. And I'm like, sure.
He studies the paranormal and has been for 40 years.
But it's like
50 years because he was studying the paranormal before Ghostbusters.
But we're also talking about something that like I don't think we have audio records of. So it's like you are taking a big assumption based on like cuneiform.
Well,
right?
there might be some form of... Well, they have seen the sphere, and it did have writing on it.
Yeah, but they should have an idea what the words are, not what the language being spoken is. So I guess. And then they go to find Patton Oswalt, who's like, hey, guess what? I've seen this in books, but not in the real not in the library, in the secret real library. So So they go down a windy staircase into a secret library.
No, he says he doesn't say like the secret library. He says the real library.
Real library.
Because the other library is just where people go to film TikToks and
Do they like write on their manuscripts or something?
and vape or something.
Yeah, something dumb.
Look at
So
porn. I don't know.
so
But they clearly walked into the library that was in the first Ghostbusters.
so that's yes,
which
because
I was okay with. I like
because
that.
well, they go to walk in and the guy's like, he's like, Dr. Stantz, you're not allowed back in here. It's the guy, and then Ray actually sees the library ghost, and I was like, you mean to tell me all this time you've been letting that library ghost just wander around? How is
they
that?
just never went back to it. Wasn't them that saw it in the first movie?
Yeah, remember, get her, and then they run out and like, we'll bill you for it, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, there's another member, Barry. So they go through all this, and as they're figuring out that it's like, oh man, it's something about like the voice, something about the voice, something about the voice. And they have like this wax recording that they were listening to at the beginning of the movie.
Vibraphone or whatever.
Yeah, and
You want to hear Mary Todd Lincoln say the F word? I do.
So while this is going on, while this is going on, Phoebe is suddenly overcome with like, oh man, you know what? I think I want to try being a ghost.
Well, she wanted to be a ghost so she could like interact with the other ghost. She's like, if I were a ghost, then we could like interact.
Be ghosts, yeah, get our ectoplasm mixed. So she goes and she puts herself in the pod and she sets a 2-minute timer, which is not how it worked on any of the previous artifacts.
Nope. She said it'll only work for 2 minutes, which is what?
So do you mean to tell me that like somebody has to keep turning the knobs on all the other artifacts? How does that work? Like, no. So she sucks herself off into the secondary chamber, right? Now, here's why I mentioned earlier it's important that chamber also traps ghosts, because she just walks right out of it. She is like...
It only traps ghosts if you had it set up to trap ghosts.
It was...
Otherwise, you can just ghost walk through it.
The whole place was set up to have passive ghost trapping. They're very specific about this. And the whole thing was done automated. After they hit
I
that
didn't
button...
think about that. That's
after
funny,
they
yeah.
hit the button, they don't do a separate thing to move it from one chamber to the next. It like automatically does it.
Well, no, it goes to the next, and then they press the button, and then it got sucked in.
So anyway, she walks out of the secondary chamber, which seems like, okay, no. And then it turns out they need a human body to say the words to summon Gareth.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Gary the Ice Lord.
Gary the Frozen Emperor.
And
the
so,
Lich. He's clearly a Lich.
As this was going on, it's discovered that Kamal Nanjiani's grandmother was part of the Ancient Society of Fire Masters, that's their name, who used to use ancient fire magic and bronze to trap ghosts like a prehistoric Ghostbusters, which they say in the movie, they're like Ghostbusters. I'm like, oh my God. And so now he finds out that he's pyrokinetic and that he might be the key to solving everything, which is on top of, this movie's a mess. I've like lost the will to continue talking about it. Because all these things happen, I'm not even kidding, like cut to one, cut to the next, cut to one, cut to the next. They don't even develop like, oh, here's a scene, like an extended scene in one thing. They're literally cutting between arcs. So it all kind of gets stitched together so they can release Gary the Ice Lord, but we know that there's a potential solve for it. And that's when that scene from the trailer comes in where they freeze everyone. This is like 20 minutes before the end of the movie.
Right, and it's, in the trailer, it's so ominous, and then it cuts to them saying like, hey.
Yeah.
People are freezing to death in the middle of July. And so you think it's those people at the beach. No, it's just some random fucks.
Here's the beginning, and they said that you get scared so bad you die. People are terrified. They're watching icicles impale thing. Nobody died.
No.
So it's like, it's not even like the ice death.
Someone's hand got cold.
Yeah, several times people's hands get cold. And so the Ghostbusters reunite with the new Ghostbusters and Fire Lord Ozai to fight the Frozen dude who's on screen for all of 5 minutes before he gets beat. Oh, Phoebe
He just walks in and goes.
And then they were saying, oh, bronze. They trapped him in bronze. So Phoebe's like, oh, let me dip part of my accelerator in bronze. Maybe that'll do it.
Brass.
Brass. That's what it was. She's like, I'll dip it in brass.
It was supposed to be copper,
Yes.
but they had brass.
That was it. It was brass. So she dips it in she uses the brass to make bronze, right?
No, she just melts the brass because it has bronze in
Anyway,
it.
she dips part of her proton accelerator in liquid metal.
She dips the slide projectors part of it.
And so you see it spinning, and it spins green, and the green gets them. And so, because when she's like, oh, maybe it'll impart some of the particles, and we're like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. Yeah, why do it just to yours? Why not everybody's? And so they succeed, in the dumbest way possible. Because remember,
Containment has already been broken, which according to the Saturday morning cartoon means the ghosts are everywhere.
and they show all the ghosts escaping. They show all of them
when
escaping.
when they suck him off back into the containment system,
Yeah.
it closes up after the metal.
Yeah.
Just
It
closes
seals.
after him, and it's like
So they decide like, oh, if we reverse the polarity of the giant containment unit, and like Ray presses one button, and then they all struggle to pull a handle because they're geriatrics, and then and then it sucks the guy back down into the thing, and it welds itself shut, and everybody comes out and starts cheering for Ghostbusters. The mayor's like, oh, you guys really messed up now, and they're like, you'd hate to say that on live TV, and they're like, now let's go. And then like Slimer and the sewer dragon go flying into the distance. They're like, well, we better go get them, family.
oh, we forgot when the projector, who can't go into organic material, goes into a pizza.
Oh God!
Pizza is organic material.
So it can only do
Most pizza is organic material.
They were very clear that this possessor ghost could not.
Tombstone pizza might not be.
And tombstones are made of what? Concrete? Stone? So it takes over a pizza. It takes over a proton pack, and it looks like it's going to kill someone. And then Fire Lord Ozai sends the blast outside. Where it goes, nobody knows, but it's causing tons of damage. Yeah.
They don't go that far.
Yeah, it's like hitting a daycare. Like,
see this gun? It shoots through kindergartens.
So
Colt 88.
it then jumps into the pizza and makes the whole pizza go across the table. Slimer comes up and eats it, but like 2 pieces of pizza fall off. So how does I don't know how the possessor ghost works. Did he eat the part of the possessor ghost, or is there like a fraction part of a possessor ghost? Don't know. Unclear.
It's 2/8 the possessor ghost is still around.
Yeah.
Although it takes 3/8 for 3/5.
So by this point, Phoebe having been betrayed by Melody Ghost Lady, goes down into the basement and is like, you and I can still turn this around, the two of us, with the power of sapphic friendship. it's I'm not even kidding. And so then they do. Like, it's so weird.
Welcome to us describing the film. Hopefully one scene from the next. Our review is we're just describing the film.
Yeah.
Because it's that bad.
No, but
That's
it's
all
like
you have to do.
bonkers. Like I literally want to, like, it's so bonkers that like describing these scenes stacked on top of each other, you're like, they're making it up, or please stop, which is how I felt watching it. And so the ghost girl like gives her the book of matches that she's been carrying around and fades away, and she turns around and you could see Mom like, I'm so sorry that your whatever that was faded away. Like, it's like, and everybody's just standing there, and then, oh, it's so bad.
Like, how is that her unfinished business? So her unfinished business was to help kill the Ice King.
Yeah, I guess. Or use the last match, maybe. Like,
Yeah, that could have been.
they kind of did they
what?
imply she accidentally set the fire?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I thought so too.
No, she said the last time I used this matchbook, I killed my
All
entire
right.
family or something like that.
I couldn't hear from the sound of my brain just being like, what am I watching? So, yeah, none of this is done well. None of it's, there are no twists. There's just like, I was just waiting for the movie to end, honestly.
It was worse than Madam Web.
Madam Web was delightful.
Madam Web was terrible,
we
but
laughed
in a
so
good way.
hard.
I know.
So hard. Like, Madam Web was
And
like,
these guys tried to make you laugh, and I had 2 chuckles.
I
Spin Doctor and the Hammer. You didn't chuckle.
I didn't chuckle. At one point, I did that like laugh where it's like I felt like I was losing my mind. I'm like, But no, I really, and like that line where Paul Rudd in the trailer goes, "Can I say one thing? Bustin' makes me feel good." And she's like,
He didn't even say it with that much emotion.
And it was such a flat scene.
It just goes, Bustin' makes me feel good.
It was such a flat scene. It's just, there were no jokes. And the few times that like they tiptoe around horror where I was like, this could be interesting, it goes nowhere. And then the best scene is where Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd are talking to each other. And, Winston's looking at Ray and he's like, these are our golden years. You're going to
Go enjoy it on a beach at an island.
You're going to get hurt. You're going to get the kids hurt. And he's like, oh God, maybe I might. And he's like, you need to find something to do with your golden years. He's like, this is what I want to do with my golden years.
Yeah.
And I was like, now that I would watch. These two dealing with like the fact they're aging and the philosophy behind Ghostbusters.
But not Bill Murray. Fuck Bill Murray.
Yeah, he was useless.
He's useless as a person.
And then they should have just had the two of them. This is what I would have done. It should have been the two of them dealing with age and legacy and struggling to pass the torch to another generation.
So like Phoebe.
Yeah, like he shouldn't have struggled to pass the torch to Phoebe. They had a better connection.
Well, it should have been them working with Phoebe.
Yeah,
and like
she should have gone into
and her
R&D
family
with
was
Winston.
and her family was just kind of there.
Yeah.
and maybe they were supporting her.
Right,
Because she's clearly the lineal Ghostbuster in Egon's line.
right, and like I said, all you had to do was have her work in the R&D, and she could have supported everyone. She would have been a true asset there. Nobody would have been upset to have her.
Yeah.
You know, and you could have
It should have been like her with them.
Yeah, she's the person in the van now. All right, you can't be boots on the ground. You're our girl in the van.
Right.
You know, like I
But
don't
I'm
know.
great with the proton pack. Well, I don't know. Hire someone who's like a marksman.
Yeah, serious. Because it's and first of all, this is the second time she's needed help holding a proton beam. It happened at the end of Afterlife. Remember, Egon's ghost comes and helps her support the proton beam, and in this one, it's Mom and Step-Rud. So like it's like maybe like a 75-pound child is not ideal for a strapped-on nuclear accelerator. Like, you know.
In my experience, that's never true.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is if you want to do property damage. Great for the insurance. So yeah, no, you're right. Our review is just literally going scene by scene through the movie as it broke my brain.
Yeah, again, the way they shot it was awful because like it was back and forth between like people having a conversation.
Yeah.
It was that quarter of the back of the head,
Yeah.
see the other person, so you're not even sure if they're in the same room, honestly.
Right.
Or if they're just saying their lines to someone and they have stand-in, or they just edit it in the back of a neck.
Like they did with Evil Dead, they had to use stand-ins because they only had like 3 people on set. So like they put like the wig on and you film from behind and it looks like it's the person you're talking to.
But like this is a probably $300 million movie for all I know.
Oh God, I hope not.
I'm sure it was $200 million plus marketing.
Oh my God, I hope not. I really
they
hope
just
not.
like they didn't have a soundtrack. They didn't bother with that.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of, you know, as Derek says, member berries, you know, from South Park or whatever.
Not as bad as Afterlife.
No, not as bad.
Afterlife had tons of them.
but it had enough that it was like, oof.
Yeah.
It had Bill Murray not giving a shit, so them paying him a fuck ton of money for nothing.
Yep.
It had a trailer for Garfield beforehand. That's a negative in my book.
I guess. Hardly seems the movie's fault, but I'll allow it.
I think it is the movie's fault.
Yeah. Oh no, it was terrible. It was terrible. There's so little joy in the movie as well. Like there's none of like that whimsical nature or spirit of adventure or discovery.
Right.
Like even Afterlife, which I'm not a big fan of, had like kind of like a little bit of a spirit of
She had
adventure.
an adventure in that she was investigating her granddad's stuff, and she was going through the house like finding interesting things and going, huh.
I would fix this movie by having it start with that scene of everybody out on the beach and the storm comes in. And then you have everybody kind of slowly reassembling in like a frozen wasteland of New York, being like, what's going on? How do we fix this? And then, you know, they're like, I don't know.
William Atherton comes in and shuts down the containment field.
Saves the day.
Saving the day.
Ironically, if he had shut down the containment field, there'd be no army of... Well, he does in the first one, and it releases an army of ghosts. So it's like... Yeah, after that, like, how do you justify keeping that containment film there? Like, how did they fix something that exploded that drastically? They just gloss over it.
Yeah.
They just want it in the same location.
Well, just like in this one, they destroy it and then they just gloss over it and fix it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it fixes itself.
Yeah.
Hey, how do we fix this high-tech thing that Egon built and probably is the only one who knows how? Fixes itself. Self-healing containment unit. Terrible. Terrible.
Oh, it's organic. That's why I can just eat the ghosts.
Yeah.
It takes them and it possesses itself with the ghosts.
No, too many flaws in this. Too many plot beats. Making Phoebe just like doing dumb stuff. Like when she puts herself in that chamber, I remember I leaned over to you and I was like, why are they making her this stupid? Like she would, like there's no way they would do this. Oh, and then Lucky just barges in, happened to be fully strapped to like shoot.
Right.
Like what? Why would she have any idea that this was happening? Like did the key thing fob go off and alert her and she just happens to show up fully geared?
No Ecto Cooler release.
No. For the release of the movie, no. The motorcycle's called Ecto C, so I think that's an Ecto Cooler.
Are they selling Ecto Cooler? I want to get some Ecto Cooler.
So Ecto Cooler is still available, but it was always available. It's just
No, it wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same. I agree. So skip this movie. Go find Ecto Cooler. Watch the real Ghostbusters.
I saw a recipe online that includes like Tang and some other stuff. The problem is like a lot of the ingredients for it sell out because it's
People
very
are making
specific, like powdered drinks.
Yeah.
So look up the recipe for Ecto Cooler and send me some.
So yeah. I don't have anything else. Like recapping the movie was probably a mistake because now I'm just depressed.
Mistake. Yeah.
Just depressed.
No, great movie. I give it 8 out of 10.
Oh God.
Madam Webb's.
No, Madam. No, that's not fair to Madam Web. All right, that's all the time we got for this. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play Russian roulette. I'm gonna use the amnesia ray so I forget about this movie.
Sorry, Derek. All I have is a semi-automatic.
That's good enough.